last time we ended up having to do the fancy them.
I didn't buy it. No, what did you say where it's going? Last week I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
I did say we were references.
No, it ended up being had to go on there. Yeah. I haven't been here. No, mine was really, that's why I said it's what pops in there on the white pushing them up and get you out of the way. Yeah, exactly. Methinkst and Nepenthes. Yeah, I know, I've got some about half that side. Anyway, we've got plenty of pictures anyway.
I was filming.
Can you see that one?
Oh yeah, it's got this one's nice. Gee, that's quick. New auriculata. What's this one? Where's Donny? Donny, what's this new auriculata called? Okay. It's from a particular area. I mean, he's grown this since the 6th of March. Women reform, 6th of March. Look how big they are.
I got some from the same area.
They're growing that quickly?
I don't know that quickly. I don't grow them from seed.
Oh, okay.
I've got tubers.
Oh, okay, you got tubers.
They're just breaking the ground. And they never produce sprazel rosettes like that.
Well, that's because they're probably not seeding.
They're beautiful the way they grow in the across granite outcrops and things, and the moss and water just running over the top of them. They're
really?
Stunning.
I better film you so people. No, otherwise you just hear a voice, you know. Okay. Because they'll probably think you're Terry Potatoes because on that other video that Gardening Australia did,
I'd love to be able to take a trip down there because some of the sites that I've seen down there blow your mind, even if it is only stuff that you might have seen. How different they grow.
Okay,
right.
I'll show you some more tickets because I've got the prices wrong.
They've got hard
and they only 20 cents. The 20 cents of tickets.
Some of the areas with the growth,
so I'll give you, you've got 10
with them growing, tricks growing around them as well. Wow. What a sight. And you've got the water running over the tops of the ground.
Now I might just get tickets out. Yeah, I'm not going to get up there. I grow cases, but actually, I'm more so but they keep stuff about 100 of each variety around even though they're a beautiful plant, and you know they're easy to grow, they're attractive in the sense that they do look nice. They actually bend over to capture their prey, so they've got that part. They're a really nice plant. But they breed. $2, that's my team. One, cool.
You've got to buy commercial tickets there, haven't you?
And so I owe you about $37.
I had 5 packages.
And yeah, total bill $45 to get on.
Yeah.
That includes the $6.
Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah. Actually, that banana died down, but it's made one. It's made one new leaf.
Yeah, if you keep them warm, they won't go dormant.
No, I know, yeah.
The only fungus part I will call dormancy if I choose to, because they don't seem to suffer ill effect from it.
No.
Not like if you do it with a splice, they splice it, some
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'm just going to film my new book coming in. Give it a flick through. Nice photographs, isn't it?
Quite good line drawings too.
Oh, yeah, he's done them himself, I've been told by Brian. It's not bad, isn't it? You're getting quite a good collection now of books you can buy and buy.
Yellowish, bronzish tinge, but that's about it. I don't know if it's too colourful. I have no idea what happened to that, but
No, it seems to be getting worse each year. I think it's some sort of mutation, but I don't know what it is. It should not look like that at all.
it's like something's been eating it.
It does actually. That leaves. No.
No, that one's under there.
It's just distorted and turned down into it. I did have a couple of caterpillars in my greenhouse chewing things, but haven't found any on that.
Has it produced any other tubers?
No. It's certainly weird. I don't think it's a well plant, to be honest.
It'd be interesting to see if it produced any tubers, whether those were distorted like that.
No, I don't know. It wasn't like that 2 years ago, and it's gradually getting worse each year.
What's its normal shape, like this here?
Well, not quite the same. No, it's a. I'll show.
No, the shape should be similar to these. The leaves should be longer, sort of almost go flat and then rounded at the end. And then they should have a red rim.
Yeah, an obvious red sort of an edge to it. That's what I'm saying.
But they usually have about eight leaves, something like that, 7 or 8 leaves. But they're usually quite a bit bigger, about so that sort of size. Anyway, they're all got pretty boring flowers. They're all just white. Although I think they're all scented, are they? I've never seen one of these. I've never seen a venereal flower. And I've seen one of these flowers once, and I've never seen one of those flowers. But I think they're scented. Tuberous Drosera flowers, usually that's not all that terribly nice anyway, but it's interesting. These are local species, I think? Who's are they?
Donovan's, I think.
Yep.
Where is it?
Yep. No, they're Richards.
Oh.
The person behind the camera.
They're Drosera-Whittakerii.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, there you go.
That's what I thought. They usually get quite a bit bigger than that. Are they actually full size? Or
No, not quite yet.
They,
Another year, I think.
yeah, normally about that big. They're actually quite colourful, although it's interesting. Sometimes you see them really red around the hills, but they grow all around
I think the laterite might have something to do with that, because
I don't know. Since sometimes you see them. There's one bright red.
yeah,
right
it's genetics
next to
in
it,
the environment. There's definitely genetics. I've seen Whittakeries, as you're saying, bright red. The next one next to it's almost an albino because it's so green. But you always seem to find the other ones around the laterite soils.
Whittakerii, even though it's as common as, it's probably South Australia's most common seed, or one of the most common seed pairs. It's always a real bastard to grow them in a greenhouse for some reason.
Don't like greenhouses, do they?
Yeah, they never look like they do in the wild when they've got all those huge big leaves and all the dew and stuff all over them. They always look rather scrawny and not particularly nice.
One of those they need about 10% clay in it, because a lot of the sites that you see Whittakeries have clay in the soil.
Yeah, that's true.
Red clay. It's normally a reddish clay.
I've seen them in lots of areas.
I've seen them in pure sand before myself.
Yeah, that's right. So,
Just because I've included mine, what's all the numbers on there, Richard?
Oh, just so I know what the soil mix is, ratios. I bought myself a sand series.
96321.
Yeah. So I know that so many parts of each. I bought a series of sand so that each bag has twice as many grains per same amount of volume as the next bag. So I've got a series, and I can work out the airfield porosity that way reasonably accurately. So I just wanted to try it out. So.
And it's got Ramasoli grown in it.
No, all of a muchness really. I found basically you can make it up more. This just one of each part is pretty good. Very quick to make up. Works quite well. I mean, you could tweak it a little bit more, but why bother? I mean.
Chris? It's got a Ramasoli grown in it. It's been a wet pot all year. I've grown it for the clippings, not for the tuber. Yeah. And it survived being wet all year round, so I just put it in just to show it.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I didn't see a tuberous Drosera in there.
No, there's a tuberous Drosera in there because that's been grown. I grew it for the pygmies. I wanted the pygmies. One tuber sod drew. I thought, oh, rot the tuber, lose it. Nothing came back.
Yeah, if you have a look closely, there's a little Drosera-Whittakerii-ssp-Aberrens.
Or branching sundew, be easier.
Yeah, they're odd little sundew. In my opinion, they look really nice. They grow, I think it's about that high. I've never actually had one full size before.
Yeah, it's about the highest I've ever seen them get.
Yeah, and they usually, if you give them lots of sun, they'll never go red, but they go sort
got
of
golden
yellowy.
colour.
Yeah, goldy yellow colour. And I think there's two flower forms. There's a pink
And a white.
The pink, yeah.
Not sure if they're scented or not, but
Yes.
they are.
Yeah. Oh, right. I've got that.
It's odd the way they flower. The flowers come up and they sort of hang down, I think, from memory.
Yeah, and so does the seed pods
And
as
it's just
well.
when they flower, they sort
Yeah.
of flick over and
They're
open up.
quite an interesting plant.
On to whatever this is.
They're Ricolata wimmera, seed from earlier this year you had, and I planted them out on the 20th of February, and as you can see they're developing their extend already.
Was that from the seed bank, was it?
Yep.
That's like the other? Yeah, it probably was.
Yeah, it's Ricolata wimmera.
Trying to think of where it came from.
Wimmera.
Yeah. It was pretty big. It's been around a rapidly, I reckon.
Yeah. It's got a really interesting coloration to it. It's a very nice coloured plant. It's a lot more red than the normal Ricolata.
From memory, they're very nice, and
Yeah.
I think they had pinkish flowers or something like that.
Oh, that'll make two probably I've got pink flowers in. So I found one at Mount Pole.
Yeah, but they're always a late flower.
Yeah. I bought the other one of them this year, and they've got Rex stems coming up on them as well, and just showing that you can get Rex stems on tuberous seedlings in the first year.
It's always interesting. Auriculata, I don't know if anyone knows, is very similar to Peltata, and sometimes they have basal rosettes like these do, and sometimes for some mysterious reason they don't. So.
I find it's generally the younger ones that have the basal rosette. When they hit maturity, they don't worry about them. Peltata, on the other hand, seems to flick between those. Seperate-Trips form.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Because I've seen adult auriculatas come up in the bush before, and they've seen rosettes.
Sure, I've seen some small auriculatas.
Yeah, when they're say 2-3 years old in the wild, because they don't reach full maturity then, they'll quite often throw out a rosette and then throw out the Rex stem. But once they get to the full-size tube, I think they have just enough energy to go straight to a Rex tube.
You know, it'd be interesting to see what it is that causes it. I guess that's more of the same thing.
Last year's, they're just an adult-sized plant, only less than 2 years old.
Well, we're taking around here, only they look a little bit, well, depends what you call healthy, I guess, but
What, Brian?
they look a little bit more dewy, I guess. This is a close relative that I brought in, also from around here. That's Drosera-Whittakerii-ssp-Aberrens. And
Where did you get the tubes from?
the reason I actually brought it in is because if you have a look on here, there's the spent flowers. It's actually one of them start growing another plant off the spent flower, which is quite unusual. I've never seen a tuberous Drosera do that. You sometimes see it on South African species, but not on tuberous Drosera like that. Yeah, like that one right there. They tend to do it a lot. Tuberous Drosera, first time I've ever seen it do that. That's another Erichrisa, same as that one there. Only they look better.
I told people to put them in big pots, didn't I?
It wasn't a very big tuber, was it? Texture will be bigger.
Drosera-Whittakerii-ssp-Aberrens, subspecies name. They're really common, easy to grow, and they always look fantastic. big pot with heaps of them because I'll just keep multiplying. You usually get about 3 tubers, or at least 3 tubers off one plant. I've dug one up before. It's had the tuber, and there's just been little tubers all sort of going around in a spiral around.
Donny's got a multiplication factor of 3.7 for those, and
It's quite interesting how
he reckons he should get a...
For the last 3 years, the tuber population
I would have started with about 5 4 years ago. Last count they were at 65. So.
He started around, what, 98 or something when he first joined the society. He reckons this year he should get 1,000 tubers.
They're incredible. If you want an easy grow Drosera, that's it. And they always look nice, beautiful red ones. When there is sun, we don't have much at the moment, so they're not particularly nice. That's the other interesting thing. They tend to respond, if you get cloudy weather for a few weeks like we've had, they'll go green. They'll change fairly quickly once we get a bit of sun back. That's more of the same, I think. Yes. And Western Australian species here, they can tend to grow up quite big. I had a photo with me taken a few years ago that was up to about here from the ground. So, to give you an idea, that's...
Do they flop over in one? Do they hold each other?
No, they're usually supported. This particular one that I had a photo with, that was actually grown on a stem of some sort of Cassarina or something like that.
Oh, they're fine.
They lean on other things.
They always manage to find something. I've never seen them actually scrambling across the ground.
You do see that with Panchenii occasionally. Panchenii, you will do see that occasionally run on the ground, on bare ground. I've seen them do that a few times. Yeah, they're usually in the scrub zone, just, where you get a clearing, just on the edge where you can start getting the thicker scrub. That's where you find them scrambling through the scrubs. I've seen...
Probably one of the most common climates that you'll ever see if you go to WA. They've got a rather large white flower with a sort of...
It's actually a larger flower than Methinkst-so-to-Speak subspecies, isn't it? In proportion when you look at the Aramea.
Quite large, and they've got a sort of faint cinnamon smell.
Oh, do they?
I like strictly crawlers because it's got massive traps on them, they're twice the size of that. And lovely pink flowers.
The smell's rather strange because a lot of the other tuberous Drosera have a sort of honey-type smell, whereas that's quite different. Close relative of that one is Drosera-Whittakerii-ssp-Aberrens with usually pinkish flowers, I think. Well, I think they can be white as well. I'm not sure, have you ever had a flower?
Mine did last year, it was white. Yeah, what one Brian's got, that I got tubers off, it's white.
I'm pretty sure I had one of those flowers.
Yeah, it's pretty I filmed it, but it's pretty unprotected. It's just white,
They either have pink flowers or white, as far as I'm
with a big fluffy stigma in the centre.
So they won't have pink flowers one year and white the next.
Yeah, that's not
It's always the same.
They're pretty uninteresting. I think they usually only have one flower at the end, or maybe a couple more. But not usually much else. They tend to produce secondary tubers quite easily. Whereas
That's already is, I'm saying.
secondary tube.
Yeah, they would be. See, there's 3 stems coming up there.
Yeah,
He's probably only planted 1 tube.
they split
There's only one tuber.
I normally get 1 or 2 at least off every large tuber that I have. These ones do split as well, but they don't tend to do it.
Aramea, they actually divide faster than the Methinkst-so does.
Yeah.
Much faster.
Interesting that they're actually desert species too. You wouldn't think that desert species would be so prolific. Maybe it's because of the conditions we grow them under. More Drosera-Whittakerii out here. Same as those. No, are they?
Oh, they are too, yeah.
Franconia, same as that one.
How do you pick the difference between the Whittakerii and Franconia?
If you have a look, this one's probably a bit more rounded. You can see more of it. But you have a look at the end. It's actually got sort of a...
Showing the grooves at the base of the root line, that might be the easiest way to identify.
3 lines on the base of the stem.
Yeah, but also the ends of the leaves are different. If you have a look on there, although they're slightly curved.
And the tentacles aren't complete on Whittakerii.
Even what I found, the difference between Pfeiffolia at
Whittakerii.
no,
Rosilano? No.
Two prefolias. They're two different prefolias.
Oh, really?
These are more sort of full.
One is from Clarendon, and the other one is from this
Yeah.
national park.
Yeah.
Whereas these are more.
There's a lot there around in the Youngstown National Park.
The other thing is, of course,
She knows where it is.
Oh, yeah.
You notice it at
Yeah, I know.
Panatalinga Road or whatever it
Yeah.
is.
these flower long after.
It's on their side. And the leaf is different. Yeah, the Clarendon form is one type, but this one is different.
Portfolio is fairly
Yeah,
limited.
Clarendon.
Round on the free.
No,
They
they're actually
said
down on Kangaroo
many
Island
of
as
them.
well, all around that area,
Oh, okay.
and up a bit north as well. I'm not sure, I thought it was around Barossa as well.
But they're very much more.
But only sort of good around the Adelaide area.
And I'm going to Kangaroo Island in 4 weeks, so
I'm not sure where you must find them there. Richard probably has a
What?
better idea. Where to find the profiler on Kangaroo.
Yeah, we had one on a field trip last year, and I've got a handout if anyone wants one.
Kangaroo Island. Yeah, Kangaroo Island, going there in 4 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Whereabouts? I'm
Um,
the whole thing.
Broke Inlet up the top. I found some, but they're only very small because they're very close to the ocean. And down the east side of the island, between American River and the end of the east end of the island.
Cape Willoughby.
Yeah, it's where that fern is, the serpentine fern, you'll find them there. And Lake Ada, that was another place they were at.
What's the story, Richard?
What's the red stuff on them?
Oh, I'm just playing around trying to aerate the soil. She's chopping up straws. But I think I'll go to sphagnum in the future. Oh, yeah, that's the point. Did anyone bring up the thing about the bales of sphagnum?
Well, Ed hasn't been around, so
Discuss that with him.
Yeah, because I would like to get into it now, because it's definitely a step forward.
Putting sphagnum in your mix.
Yeah. Better than putting straws in, quicker than putting straws in.
And cheaper as that.
Yeah.
Do you really think it's necessary?
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary for a lot of plants. Sphagnum moss is not found in most of their natural habitats. In Australia especially.
And I think I've found, well actually, there's probably more straws in their habitat than
Need to grow with straws.
You see if you can get the roots to go through the straws, chop them off and see if you can get it to grow that way.
Are you trying to grow elongated tubers? Is that the...
No, I'm just trying to get the soil more aerated.
Spagnum's got some interesting properties, especially when you grow orchids and stuff in it. You don't have any problems with fungal infection.
No, it does. It's got real strong antifungal agents that do like
It's perfect.
like the Philippians, you can't get down stuff to grow through, germinate from
No,
it. You get
just
them
straight
sphagnum, you get
sphagnum.
growing,
Well,
you
sometimes
get
sphagnum
no
isolates.
problem.
You
You
can
end up
use
with
sphagnum
stuff on
rather
the back, and the king can't get stuff on the bloody handy, iron sphagnum.
But it is
Sphagnum just
Antifungal is definitely big and fussy pH. Tends to hang around a specific pH as well.
Do we have a native sphagnum? Because when I was up at Mount Compass, I noticed where the Tikaro were up, and we're all near something really like sphagnum. It's like a moss, but it wasn't the same as what we...
Oh, that's Hypnum moss, that one.
Is it? It's like a fern type.
very sphagnum moss.
Yeah, it goes dormant in summer, and then
But there is true sphagnum in
oh, sorry.
The one you're thinking sort of grows in a carpet, you can pick it up.
Yeah,
Because I know people that use it on the inside of hanging baskets when they go standing.
it has a higher nutrient requirement than sphagnum, so you can tell that.
Well, this was it wasn't a large amount, but I know.
Anything keeps their roots system cool.
Sort of recommend growing it up in on the ground. It's always pretty when the sphagnum sort of hits the ground and then that moss that grows on top of it and make it grow.
No. I wait a minute.
Drosera-Planchonia.
It's also one of the reasons that might be the case is that where that moss is, it's usually a bit of an indication that it's a little bit more.
Seems to grow in that club moss.
Okay.
Yeah,
Vote.
Pick a good one.
Pick them Menzies.
did you have anything for that? Do we have any? We're doing this one.
Yep.
Yeah, might as well.
No votes?
Sorry.
Okay.
Alright. Go this one. Yes, 2, 3. I think that already makes that one a winner.
I think it does.
Yeah.
Okay.
We will come to the poll.
Phil, before you finish, I'd like to see someone say something about that mutant fences.
I think I had 2 clusters of uranium nitrate.
Quite an interesting looking plant. Whose is it?
Mine. Where else would it come from?
What can you tell us about it?
Well, it was originally one of my commercial cakes sitting in the back of one of my trays, and I come along about 2 months ago,
Aberrens.
and I realised it was going at this flower stalk here. Then I noticed that the leaves started shrinking down. It's a smaller plant than all of the same plants of the same age. And it developed this thing, and also when you look underneath, you realise it's not even a normal scape that comes from. It branches underneath.
Yeah, right.
I have no idea, but it indicates there's been at least 2 different types of mutations that cause that to happen. One to change the flower stalk shape from the normal scape, which is like this, to where you've got a branching form like that, and the second form naturally to get the petals to turn into leaves.
So I presume that's flowers and leaves all together.
No, that's just leaves.
Yeah, there's no
There's
flowers.
no
Just
flowers,
plantlets.
it's a carnivorous plant. When
They're
it
young
comes up,
plantlets.
it doesn't even have seed. It actually comes up with the leaves coming up like that. I saw that one come up. It actually produces carnivorous leaves for petals.
But these were normal flowers?
Flowers, yeah. A few months ago, it was all normal
It's
plant, and then it
Epimixis.
died back and came back up like this.
If you cut that off and plant it,
Trying it.
will the leaves
I'll tell you in a couple of months. I've already done it.
Yeah.
I've taken a couple of leaves.
They're young
I think the
plantlets.
actual plant itself is mutated.
Leave it a little bit longer,
Yeah.
and it will develop much better plantlets there. Then you can just take them off and plant them.
Yeah, well, I've already taken a couple off already, and I've just planted them down and see if they
Leave
come up.
them a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I left them a little bit of salt so it could produce
Until
root
they
stock.
mature.
Yeah.
And
That's a bloody big Venus flytrap.
a written fly trap, isn't it? No, that's right.
I had
You
the
did
same
good job
thing
on that
in
one.
Venus flytrap.
But the only reason I brought it in was it's really late. It's
Yeah.
still, all the others have died back.
Look, I just, at the risk of it passing on to my class, I'll be willing to take it off your head.
Yeah, I might have to say thing. It might just put mine
Same
on
as
that
the ones
before
over
that.
there. It's
Same as one of the door prizes.
one of the door prizes. It actually, the Drosera-Whittakerii-ssp-Aberrens was bought at the same time, so it's grown quite well. And it's
No, we'll say got a little patch of hormone still left in the soil.
apparently it's the Paradisa, and if you look deep into their website, they've got a number of different clones that they sell, and it's clone 14 and 15 apparently, and they claim that clone is about as good a Venus flytrap as they've ever had in terms of overall, in terms of colour, how long it lasts. They say that it dies back last, right? So that actual clone. So
That's
That's a good indication I might be right about that.
that website, www.sportner.com.
Yeah, well, I've got a couple of points to get on business. And the first one, which I did mention last year, is the frequency of the meeting. This year, on behalf of the ACPS, I've given 4 talks to 4 garden clubs. All those garden clubs meet every month without any exception at all. Every one of those garden clubs lay that on the table at their meeting, where sometimes 100, 200, 300 packets of seed available for the members. Now, it's a long, long time since we've seen packets of seed laid out on the table for anybody to buy. I'm not having to go quickly, I'm just purely stating points.
I could do that, but I didn't.
The main thing is, all these clubs meet every month. I also went to the African Violet Society show, which was the bank you've got here. They again had all sorts of stuff for the members to buy, and apparently they have a meeting down on Marion Road, which I've also been to. There's all sorts of stuff for the members to buy, and little pots, little fancy things, leaves, and all the rest of it. So really, what I'm saying there is, I don't feel that we meet often enough. I spoke to Chris today, and I said, how's the seed bank? And he said, well, there's virtually nothing in it, and I don't think there's been a list of what's available to anybody, because there's virtually nothing available.
If we haven't got seed in the seed bank, I mean, there's plenty of places overseas, Venus like that, Saracen is to buy from America. We're trying to run a seed bank, I mean, first and foremost for the members here, but for overseas members. I doubt if they've any luck getting those seeds from the dancer because, apart from two, because they won't have them until next year. And it's getting a bit late to order, and so she was dropping in, got a lot of time left, another month, 6 weeks. So really there's not a lot in the seed bank. Now I feel that if we haven't got the money in the seed bank, there's plenty of money in the society to buy seed, even if you spend a few $100, to buy seed to try and get a little bit of variety. The third thing is, and I also mentioned this last year, we, I feel in South Australia, are out of touch with a lot of the plants that are available in Australia. Now someone asked tonight, there was someone asked on the phone today about Regia, someone asked tonight about Helianthera, and none of those you see here, I know you've got them, but I don't know anybody else has got them. I suggested last year that maybe a couple of us could go to Melbourne with the travel expenses paid by the society to buy plants for the members here. Give them a couple of $100, well, get this if you can, that if you can, the followers and all the rest of it. It wouldn't take a lot of organising. I'm sure 2 people will go, and I feel that society could kick in a few dollars for the fair, not to buy any plants, but for the fair. And anyway, that's really about all. With the frequency of the meeting, the shortcomings of the seed bank, because there's not enough variety, there's virtually nothing in the seed bank for anyone to buy. If there'd been seeds there or not, a lot of them would have been sold. We rely on donations of Nepenthes and this. Fair enough, they come down and go, but not very often. So anyway, there's a couple of bits I want to say.
We are trying to address the level of seed and seed bank. One thing we probably haven't probably as a committee considered is to use your expertise in that area. If anyone else has been in contact, or no one else would have been in contact in getting seeds.
I can get some seeds from the US now. I've got.
So we probably need to utilise a bit more of the resources of the local society. We've been aware of that, and we are trying to.
The other thing to do is I found that one thing we do have in South Australia is our tuberous sponges. You might not be able to use them now, but they make great swap items overseas. People really do. Even our peltata is considered rare over there. It's a ridiculous situation, but you can use it to your advantage to swap for. That's how I got my stuff going. Just started with the local stuff, swap here and there, got some more interesting stuff and started swapping that on. It does take a bit of time and effort, and that's the real effort. You have to really try and get hold of people.
And one other thing, I've already said that this year I've done 4 talks. The last one was last week up at Williamstown, which happened to be an afternoon one. It would be nice if somebody else could possibly have a go at giving their talk. The last one was before that was at Woodville Town Hall. The 2 weeks before that were both at Elizabeth. But I illustrated that really because all those societies meet every month, and they all had a lot of things for members to buy. So there you go.
Well,
I better go and have a look at the stuff that might be burning.
Thank you very much for that comment.
I think that Fred's point about the things to buy is a reasonably valid point, and I think one thing the society potentially could do is to, I suppose the idea of going to Melbourne is difficult, right? But in a way, there is the facility to order lots of plants from nurseries in the state and bring them in, and then having them available at meetings and provide.
Well, honestly, by next spring I should have some unusual sundews and stuff like that. The Philophomus time to start to come into commercial sale and stuff like that. I've got plenty of Tracy items. I'm taking this up in the spring, trust me.
But I suppose even on a certain scale, we could either sort of get a price list of available plants from one of these, be it Paradisa or Seperate Park, and sort of have a list of plants that are available, and then we could organise a largish order for the society and do a bulk and one transport, and then the plants that we pick up and we could potentially buy extra ones.
Yeah.
And what happens to those that are not sold?
Well, and that is, I suppose that is the point, that if they're not all sold, right, and it potentially can cost money, and that is sort of one different thing. But if someone has it there to look after them, if people actually order them, right? You know, we had a price that was available, and then made people order them, and then they're sort of not
Get the cash before you go to the order.
Problem with it. So.
Fred's suggesting that someone actually physically goes over there and picks out clients. It's got merit.
Yeah.
But it costs money to do that. On the other hand, you could spend that money buying extra plants and just have them shipped back, and it wouldn't be as expensive.
So how many we've done that with Triple Card, how many we lost doing that though?
But I think what he means, Brian, is if someone goes over there, they may have the odd plant here and there that they wouldn't normally offer for sale, and someone being physically present there will be able to say, well, come on. And also, it could be at a time when they've got a show on over there, so you may be going over there, and that could be the excuse, and then the society just says, well, if you're going there, here's $600, bring us back whatever you think you can find that's rare, you know. Well, just 99. I think that's what he means, I don't know.
There's a lot of things to be considered, I think.
Yeah.
Any other general business or any other comments on that? Just to put to the meeting, what does everyone else think about the frequency of our meetings at the moment?
I prefer monthly. I mean, I could 2 months quite often you'll have a couple of great 1 month, 4 weeks later it's not worth showing if it's gone through to dormancy or it's gone past that critical period. Every month we'd have a chance to make sure we get someone has a plant, you know, part of the cannabis plant will look great. 2 weeks later you just hit in dormancy or something's happened to it and it won't be at its best.
Well, why don't we get an indication of who would be prepared to come monthly? Majority of people. It's not just a decision that the committee makes. We have to make sure that the call is available and we will be paying. I think it costs us over $300 a year now, so it'll be going up to $600 a year. The whole high.
You have to sell more books.
Well, if we've got more active meetings like that, might actually get more people to come up here because it might make things more active.
Well, that's the other thing, is whether we can get the whole
Presumably, yeah. We can imagine we will. Because I can imagine that people will use it for the other one.
No, I don't think so.
You could always ask for a discount instead of saying, well, instead of doubling the price, can we have like 3/4 of twice the price? Yeah.
I must say the idea of having meetings is a good idea. I think that.
Especially when it comes to farming, most of the cannabis farms will not last 2 months, and if you just happen to miss one meeting, 2 months later the sale will be gone. Pretty well guaranteed. I can't think of any, even from most of the YouTube sales might last 8 weeks.
It certainly is true that you know that the meeting is the only real contact for the members of the society, isn't it? Right? The local members, right? And to increase the frequency of that, if there is interest and people do come along every time, and hopefully more people, then it will make it a more active society. And I think that's something that we should encourage to be an active local society. So I'm quite positive about the potential for making meetings monthly.
I think at this stage the committee needs to look at the financial viability of it and the availability, etc. And those sorts of things. We'll get back to the meeting for the next general meeting.
Nothing, just right. This half year from 1st of July to end of the year.
Well, if it's available, yes, we might be able to do that.
Just get a trial and see how it works. That might be
Yeah, just try for 6 months, and then if it works, let's go.
I would say to have a meeting in July,
Yeah.
you know, is probably a bit too soon now, right?
Why? Because the tuberous dorsal are still.
But I mean, if we've got to have a meeting and decide and check with the hall and
Yeah, that's a different. Yeah, that's all right.
It's a little bit tight, right? That's my feeling, right?
Yeah, that's all right.
After August.
But the thing is, if we say August, right, then really it's just one extra meeting, right, that we'd have, because we don't have one in September normally, do we? We have one in October,
Yeah.
and we have one in November and December, right? So I think that we should at least investigate having a look at having a meeting in September, right?
Yeah.
In spring, right? And I think that I'd be surprised if we couldn't do that without too much extra organisation, and then that will sort of give us a little bit of momentum, and we can see that if it does sort of increase numbers towards the end of the year. So I think we should investigate that as a committee.
That was the October auction we used to have. You used to get a whole load of plants in, and I think that's what he's talking about.
Oh, actually, I never been here for the auction.
Payment for adverts.
Payment for advertising.
Will that generally come in about October?
Well, whenever we arrange it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Richard's right. We have frequently we've had it
Yeah,
in
usually in
October
October.
and had an auction.
Might be an idea to do that again. I've been on auction there and it was quite enjoyable.
Certainly, because there's certainly lots of Nepenthes available in Australia, right? And there's a lot of good plants, and there's a lot, commercially there's a lot of good plants available. I can have a look here after, but I think there's basically, terrific. Melbourne's got a couple, but there's
West
Fire
Australia.
Queensland who has got a huge range of mostly
Get our
hybrids.
journal, don't you?
Huge range of
Sorry,
hybrids. He's got a very good website, and there's a little man in Western Australia who's got a good website themselves, and you get things through Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
You get a lot through Jeff, mate.
Yeah.
So Jeff Manford.
Well, I had a lot of contact with people over that time, directly and indirectly. This video, which was produced by a couple in Germany, or from Germany, they visited Australia in 2000, and they're shots of a visit to a girl called Kirsty Wolf, who I think she was the president of the New Society of the Cannabis Plant Society of New South Wales. I've met Kirsty, I've been to her place, mostly because I've got friends who live in the Blue Mountains about a mile from where she lives. But the point I'm trying to make is that you should make every opportunity, or take every opportunity possible to meet some of these people from interstate when you're over there or when they're here. They take you on a bit of a tour through the Blue Mountains to a place called Govetts Leap. That's a common place in the Blue Mountains. I've bushwalked there. I spent a couple of weeks bushwalking there with our local bushwalking company here, and I saw tens of thousands of Drosera-Whittakerii-ssp-Aberrens there at the time I was there. You'll also see shots of Greg Burke, who has visited us here. He came to Adelaide and came to one of the meetings a couple of years back. Shows shots of his backyard. I've also visited Greg on another occasion. He takes them into the Royal National Park, which is just across the road from this place. You'll also see Trevor Hannum, who was
the Royal Park, was that before the 90 burnout?
Sorry?
Did you visit before the 1990 burnout of the Royal Park?
I haven't been to the Royal Park, but they show me in the... This is in the year 2000.
Right. Nice recovered then. 99, the whole place was white.
You also see Trevor Hannum, who was the founder and the president of the Cannabis Plant Society of Far North Queensland, who only lasted about 3 years and folded through lack of support from people wanting to do some of the work. I just thought I'd mention those things. I've looked at the video, and Trevor Hannum, in fact, has loaned it to us. So it has to be returned after tonight. But, take every opportunity to meet these people when you get a chance. It's really worthwhile making contacts and swapping ideas.
Dan?
To most other sun use, it tolerates only little direct sunlight. The up to 20 centimeters big plants grow within the layer of rotting leaves that covers most of the rainforest ground. Suddenly, Trevor draws our attention to the deep goo of a cassowary. It's true that the head-high relative of the ostrich feeds on fruit only, but almost like their ancestor, the Velociraptor, they can deal out deadly kicks with the elongated claws of their